try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, your check is I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine. From pain it's a blessing, new focus, no guessing. Just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep on the scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off, I'ma break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft, you can change lives, you create thoughts. Never waste time, you got one shot, you got one life. Better pop off, what do you like? Make a dream job, no 9-5, no mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep on the scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. Try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, your check is I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine. From pain it's a blessing, new focus, no guessing. Just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep on the scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off, I'ma break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft, you can change lives, you create thoughts. Never waste time, you got one shot, you got one life. Better pop off, what do you like? Make a dream job, no 9-5, no mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep on the scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. Easy, you don't wanna be fast asleep on the scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off, I'ma break off from the play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep, only scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And just represent for the Gray Pill Podcast. We have a very interesting story for y'all guys. A special guest. We're gonna have a conversation about something very disturbing and horrific that happened just not too long ago. I'll say some months ago. So we're gonna have that conversation. So I want to appreciate everybody for coming in. Appreciate you, Italian Princess. Appreciate you, Vibrant, Dangerously Active, like always. Princess Love. All right, be safe on the road. So get your ears ready. So anybody have any questions, bring it to the table now. So it's gonna be more to come after this. All right. So this story is very intriguing. So anything you have, any questions, comments, complaints, bring it to the table. We're gonna address everything. We're gonna dive deep. Salute to you again. Hello, cool gamer. Madhouse, always appreciate you. Queen. All right, so I was introduced to a buddy of mine in, on the Canadian side, and he asked me, he said, "Hey, man, somebody's having a interesting story. This seemed like your cup of tea. I want you to check it out." I didn't really think much about it. When I saw the live stream, it seemed like more of a conversation for me, but just hearing this young woman's story unfold from Jersey, and anybody that pretty much know me, I'm always representing Jersey all the time. And the last time I left Jersey, retiring up in the South, I was like, there's no way. There's no way this can happen in New Jersey, all places, because we're pretty much straightforward, bold, or how we carry ourselves, and it just can never happen, right? So I'm going to play a little clip of just a conversation that I saw an interview on Fox 5 News with this woman, and then we're going to have her up, and we're going to have the conversation. So here we go. Give me 1 second.
School was advertising something called pansexuality, and she thought this seems a little much for an elementary school, so she complained about it on Facebook. What happened next didn't used to happen in this country and never should, and we only know about it because of a Substack called Chaos and Control, which broke the story. And as we read it, we thought this can't be real, but it is. So in response to Angela Redding's post, out of the blue, an Army officer at Joint Base MDL, it's a nearby military base, called Angela Redding an extremist on Facebook. That officer is called Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Schilling. Schilling then wrote on Facebook that, quote, "The Joint Base leadership have had the security forces working with multiple state and local law enforcement agencies to monitor this situation." What? So the military responded to a mom in an elementary school complaining about the sexualization of her own child? That's warranted a military response under Joe Biden? Apparently it did.
All right, so y'all guys, let me know what y'all thought about that. That's a lot just to hear that in 60 seconds. Okay, so we're gonna bring the young woman up, and we're gonna have this conversation. So here we go. How you doing, Miss Angela?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Again, Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's. Now, I was reading most of the article. This happened in November?
Yeah, this happened.
Okay.
Yeah. So I actually have a whole timeline typed up and written, and I can share with your viewers something that I put together, because there's a lot of missing pieces and a lot of misinformation certainly being shared. But this happened on November 21st. I took my kids to math night at the upper elementary school. So in my district, we have 3 schools. The upper elementary serves 4th through 6th grade, but it's where like all events take place. So because it has an auditorium, it's the biggest building. So I took my kids to math night, and on the wall, and I can show your viewers, there was an entire wall, and it was supposed to be for inclusion, and it had a nice message, right, about acceptance. I think I think that should be in our schools 100%. As a special ed teacher of 7 years, I was in public education for 10 years. Certainly inclusion is very, very important, acceptance. But on the wall were some terms about pansexuality, polysexuality, and other things that I don't think my 7-year-old and 6-year-old should be exposed to. So that's what prompted this whole situation. So just let me know how much you want me to share, but there's definitely a lot of information that I wasn't able to share on Tucker. That's one of the posters for sure.
Okay, you're fine. Now what? Okay, this is one of the posters right here that we're looking at.
Yeah, that's one of them. That's pretty much one of the main ones that had a lot of sexual terms, but there's an entire wall of pictures of posters. It wasn't just that poster, but that poster definitely was at eye level for my kids, and the one that definitely had the terms that were problematic to me. And what wasn't mentioned on the show was that I didn't directly go to Facebook, although any mom can, right? Like if you're a parent, you can voice complaints and concerns.
Well, that's fine. That's fine because that's fine. We got all like for this one. So let's walk us back a little bit. So again, the ages, 4th grade to 6th grade, you came in to go visit, came into the building to come visit your daughter, to come get her out or drop her off just to see what's going on. Like, hey.
No, so my kids are in 1st and 2nd grade. So the reason that I was in the upper elementary school, which is 4th through 6th grade, is because that's where all district-wide events are. So it was math night. So all families from preschool all the way up till 6th grade were invited to come to the building to do math games, like super fun. I was very excited, as any parent would be, to kind of check out the building and do math activities with your kids. So that's really why we were in the building. And immediately, as soon as you walk in the building, there's this giant wall of posters, and many having sexual terms on them, like polysexuality, pansexuality, words that I had to look up. I didn't really even know what they were. All for my kids to view and read. And words and topics that I'm not quite frankly ready to expose my kids to or talk to them about.
Correct.
Given that they're 6 and 7. So that's how my kids and myself came in contact with the wall and these posters.
Okay, sure. Now, at that point, do you want to, you're more than welcome to share it, and it will show and see, judge for ourselves. But, anybody in the chat that's a mom, that's a parent, have guardians, grandmothers, aunties, aunties, all that good stuff. This is not the time at this moment just to have them in front of the TV. So, and they ask, kids, because the age limits you're saying, kids ask a lot of questions that you can't really explain to them. And you're like, hey, wait till you get 14 and think they're going to ignore it. Then they get 14, 16, they asking more questions. So it's like, it's a lot. So again, so if you have kids, anybody in the area, just make sure they're not watching this at this time. So it's nothing.
Just hit present.
Yes.
So if I hit present, I can just share screen. Yes. And this is my first time doing the share screen on this platform. So I will show you, and I can just pull up. Can you see this poster? This wall, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. So this was the wall. As you can see, like this is the poster that has a lot of the sexual terms, but pretty much the entire wall is covered about LGBT issues and topics, which is fine. Like, again, like I hope your viewers can understand that I think that everyone is deserving of love and respect. I think we need to come at everyone with love. That's so vitally important. But I don't really think that my 6 and 7-year-olds need to be reading these types of terms. Like I had to look this up I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is neither.
Non-binary and bi, gender fluid, pansexual. I mean, these types of terms are not really appropriate for my kids at this particular age. And my daughter, who just turned 8, who was 7 at the time, she's in the gifted and talented program. So she's not even like your average kid who could just like see the poster and walk away. She has a lot of questions. Correct. She wanted to know more. She wanted to use the internet to research these terms. So that's problematic for me because I started to research the terms to see what she might find if she were to go to the internet searching. And it's just not.
It's a rabbit hole. Yeah, it's a rabbit hole. I remember a couple of days ago, I interviewed because I'm 43. So when I hear some terms like that, I'm just like you. I'm Googling. I'm not married. Not I don't have the family, but I understand the dynamic when it comes to children. Children comes first. Even last time I remember when I went to school, it was about math, reading, science, social studies. PE, home economics, and that was it. You're done.
Yeah,
that's what I thought school was supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about educating your kids to be better upgrading in the society. Now, again, I have no problem with anybody else with what your gender is, but if it's school, it's for education purpose only. So for me personally, like when you're introducing that kind of dynamic, it's more of it should be a case by case basis for me. Just, hey, let me bring them home. Let me teach my child, my kid, if I choose to do this, but in the open public school, because this was a public school, correct?
Yeah, this is a public school.
In a public school, you got so many opinions, so many voices, so many votes out there that people need to be heard in their own. So this is a lot. So so from that time, you came in there, you saw all the stuff. You Googled everything. Like I said, I Googled too. Even when I had interviewed somebody not a couple of days ago, where they was living in a polyamory lifestyle. Yeah. I was going down the rabbit hole, and even still is more to unfold because we even we talked about having a part 2 about just having couples on. So that's a whole nother conversation. But I'm more about the perspective, and people need to understand. But what I will not do is say, hey, let me take somebody in this demographic into a school to teach, especially young impressionable. I'm gonna say this again, young impressionable children. So at that point, you came in, you saw the stuff that, hey, you know what, it was questionable. You and your husband do not choose to engage this type of behavior for your children. So what's the next step after that?
So immediately I contacted some of the students' names were written on the poster. So because my daughter was reading the posters, I contacted one of the parents because I knew him, and I said, hey, like my daughter was reading your daughter's poster, and did you know that she had put these terms on and she researched this at school, and I'm just like a little concerned that this was hanging on the wall. So I reached out to the parent, and his response was essentially like, your kids are going to be exposed to this anyway. Like, welcome to the party. Like, your kids are going to be on social media. You really can't hide them from this information. If you have concerns, you should reach out to the school, and they can give you talking points to teach to how to talk to your kids about these concepts.
Hold on. So he actually said that with a straight face?
Yeah. Well, in a Facebook message, and I have it. And I've been slowly sharing it because he's been going around saying that he had no idea that I was ever going to bring concerns about the posters. And I'm like, wait, because
so if that's the case, by that logic, so I'm because I've written it down from kindergarten to 4th grade to 6th grade with that type of logic. So that means like, okay, well, there's murder, there's raping, there's a whole horrific type of crime. So by that logic, so that means, hey, look, somebody's doing, the purge right across the street. Let me just take my 4th grade and 6th grade child. Like, oh, well, you want to see it two years from now, so it's okay. Like, wow.
So that was an odd response, but he doesn't have any control. But I was hoping to get some sort of reprieve from the parent, and the parent to be equally outraged. Like, I had no idea that my daughter was researching these things at school. No reprieve. I reached out to a board member, and the board member said essentially the same thing. Like, they're going to see it on social media. It is what it is. It's about acceptance. And I said, well, my kids aren't on social media because they're 6 and 7. And my 7-year-old cannot accept a polysexual because they don't know what sex is.
Correct.
And then my husband met with the superintendent, and the superintendent said the same exact thing. Like, kids have the freedom of speech, and they can put whatever they want on posters. And so I felt
not if your parents is monetizing everything, because again, we had did a topic here where it was about school bullying internet bullying, and the conversation went down to the point of how do you bring self-awareness to your kids, also about monitoring. Like, for example, if anybody even watched a great documentary on Netflix, it's about Facebook, where they was showing you how much people, just adults to kids, would dive into some things where it's just harmful you. It was a father here. He was explaining the dynamics with his children. Say, hey, I give certain time limits with my kids to be on certain phones, certain laptops. And he said, hey, I even make sure that I monitor what they watch in my homes. So for them to make that kind of outburst is ridiculous. It's not like when you're outside your doors from a fourth grade to a kindergarten, from a baby all the way up to 14. I would say 14. They're in your home all the time. Wherever you go and take them, it's by your call. Now, anytime after 16, 18, again, depending on the judgment of the parents, they're free to roam wherever. But even still, if you condition them to the point of, hey, social media isn't the go-to, cell phones, smartphones, which is actually dumb phones, isn't a way to go from the time you're born up to now, you can actually condition your child the right way to learn. That, again, back in my day, that's how we didn't have the smartphones. We didn't have all this extra technology. The technology was there, but it wasn't our go-to. Like, hey, let me stay home versus let me go outside and just let me be on my tablet or my phone all day. It just wasn't the case. And even then, just being on TV was monitored. Hey, do your homework when you come straight home from school. Hey, you have maybe an hour or two to watch your favorite shows. Maybe Saturdays. I remember even on the weekend, my limit was maybe 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then it's like off to bed you go. So I don't, that didn't make any sense to where his that thought process came from.
No, I mean, we were really taken back by the superintendent's response. And just so your viewers are aware, I was in public education for 10 years and now I'm in my last year of law school. So legally speaking, having an education background, and I actually practice school law right now in my last year of law school, kids do not have a freedom of speech like an adult would have in the general public. You can't, I mean, hopefully you don't have young viewers, like a kid couldn't just draw like a penis and stick it on the wall. A kid couldn't write the F word and say, this is my art to go on the wall. Like the school has the ability, the school needs to curate the walls, to be age appropriate. So we were really, my husband and I were both very upset with both the response from board member, response from the parent, and also the school. And that is when I went to social media, to a Facebook page that was created during COVID for parents who just need to vent, make connections. So, people post on there all day, and typically the posts just get buried because so many people are sharing concerns, especially in New Jersey. So for me, I thought this was just like an innocent post, and it really was, where I just listed my concerns. I was really, really explicit. I actually have my post that your viewers could see. There's a petition in my favor that someone created. But my post was really explicit, and it just said all people are deserving of love and respect, but I just don't agree with this. And I went through talking points.
Sure. If you don't mind sharing that so everybody can just see your thoughts on that one. So we can
I'll do that right now.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, again, so everybody in the chat, if you have any questions for the mom and with the story going on, because again, we're breaking this all down as it unfolds, so you're more than welcome to chime in. I appreciate everybody for coming in. If you're new, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. Any donations, hey, more than welcome. We're not asking. It is what it is. So I appreciate you.
Okay, so as you can see, it's November 22nd, so this is the next day. And this is after I had already reached out to, like I said, the school, the parent, and a board member. And so essentially I say, I welcome respectful debate. If you read my entire post, that's really important to me. Like, I don't want people just coming at me before they read. I just said, last night, I essentially said the story that I told you. And I say, why are elementary schools promoting or allowing kids to research topics of sexuality and create posters? I said this isn't part of the standards, which it's not. It's not board approved because it's not in the curriculum. Essentially what I said to you, how can my young children be accepting of people who are sexually attracted to multiple genders? Because that's the definition of polysexuality. Again, kids should respect differences. Kids should show kindness to all. Kids should respect and understand there are various family structures. That's really important to me. My kids have been exposed to people with, two same-sex parents. That's fine. then I put some additional points saying, this isn't coming from just a religious background, because I don't want people to come at me, you're some religious extremist. This is just, what's age appropriate. I said it doesn't come from my personal views about sexual identities. Again, I was really explicit. All people are deserving of respect and dignity. You can marry who you want, love who you want. And this is where I essentially say what people told me. My kids are going to be exposed to it on the playground and social media. I put parents can opt out of, they keep telling us we can opt out of the health curriculum, but I can't opt out my kids from the hallway. I mean, again, that's pretty much what it says. Correct. And then I put my disclaimer. So as you can see, and if anybody wants to read my full post, there is a change.org support Angela Redding that you could go to. And I should have not stopped sharing before sharing that. But
no, you're fine. Any links and everything that you have, you're more than welcome to send to me. And I'm gonna add, because I have a news article link. I have the interview that she had with on Fox 5 News. That's pretty much, for me, that was like the whole opener can of worms for me. So I'll share everything, the link below, and everybody, even on the replay, more than welcome to do their homework and have all this chopped up for yourself. So yeah.
It's important for people to see the post too, because when you think about the response that we'll dive into, you're like, wait, what post are we talking about? Like, did this mom threaten the school? Did the mom, say something outrageous? Because I'll be honest, there's a lot of rhetoric online from extremists, I'll be honest, that I don't subscribe to. Right. I believe I'm a fairly moderate individual. I don't call people pedophiles. I don't use the language that certain groups use. Not to say you can. Like, I believe in the freedom of speech, but that's not who I am. So to have the government response that we had to my post should scare everybody. Because, I mean, how many times in my post did I say everyone's deserving of love and respect? Like, I couldn't be more.
Yeah, you said it multiple times. I was like, okay, I see. Every time you said, I saw rainbow just come over. So I was like, all right, there you go.
Yeah, like, this is coming from a place of concern as a parent and not from a place of extremists. I mean, I've been called a terrorist. I've been called a satanic terrorist from that post. So we should all be concerned about the response after seeing what I posted, because in no way should that have prompted community backlash from people saying that I was going to cause school shootings, or should that post have prompted military and police intervention.
No, I'm glad.
And I have the receipts to show everyone. Like, I have screenshots. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you got to that, because that pretty much brings me to the next question. So from my understanding that at that point, because the way he chopped it up, because I know it was a lot for him on the news. It's 9 minutes, so I get it. It's clickbaity. I get it. Got to grab the attention. But from my understanding from you and from what I read, Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Sterling, did I pronounce it right? Okay. He intervened, and how did that go? And this is a lieutenant from, that's serving our country.
So if you don't mind, there's actually far more that happened before Schilling gets involved.
Sure.
And it's actually probably more scary. And it's actually why I'm represented now by the Thomas More Society, which is a national law firm. And they're going to be fighting for mine and everybody's constitutional rights. So,
oh, great. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so I actually have an attorney that I'm working, Christopher Ferrara, and we are moving forward with litigation. And what really is the crux of the issue is that after I posted on November 22nd, sometime between November 22nd and November 30th, the military, now we don't know who yet, because we're right now we're doing government requests for documents. Somebody from the military base reaches out to the police department and says, hey, this mom's posted on Facebook. We don't like it. We're trying to get our hands, and we will get this email that was sent to the police from the military, but I don't have that to show you just yet. But we have document requests in, and I believe they have till mid this week to give us, or we will sue in court to get it. But at some point, the military reaches out to the police department, and uses words like extremist. And what the police chief does from that point on, what the police chief Duff should have done when he got this correspondence from the military, he should have said, this is not my jurisdiction to police my resident's Facebook page, post. If you're giving me a direct order, like he should have asked for more. Right? Like, is the military directing me to do something? And if not, that this isn't my jurisdiction. Like, yeah, like the police shouldn't be shouldn't be monitoring mom's Facebook pages. But instead of doing that, the police chief, and do you mind if I share screen this?
Sure, of course.
So I'm going to show everybody. So
yeah, for us, from us looking for the outside in, we have our own conspiracy theories when it comes to people monitor us and stuff like that. I know some people will likely put little tape on their monitors, but we never. When I heard this, the first thing I thought was like, okay, they really are watching us. It's really that serious.
So there's three messages here. Robert Duff, these are screenshots. He's the police chief. He messages via Facebook, this Nick Stouffer. Now, she's the admin of the mom's Facebook group I posted in. So he says, any chance you could call me? He doesn't reach out to her as a private citizen. He says, Chief Duff, North Hanover Police Department. And he puts the police department's phone number. Now, if you want to see here, the reason that the screenshot now says Bert Xavier, it's because he changed his Facebook name.
Oh, wow.
So that's why, as you can see, this is the same message, same time, but there's a different name. But you could see this is November 30th. So I posted on the 22nd. So like I said, sometime between the 22nd and the 30th, the military reaches out to the police. And then the police chief reaches out to Nick, who's the Facebook admin. Then at 3:47 p.m. that day, Nick reaches out to me. Now, I had never met her. She said, I want to let you know I removed your post about the school because I was asked to.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't know who she was, who this Nick person was. So I ended up calling her. And she told me, I talked to your police chief. And he said the military, reached out, Homeland Security. I took down the post. Are you okay with that, or do you want me to put it back up? And I was like, do not put it back up. Like, what? Like, like I said on Tucker Carlson, I don't need Homeland Security or the military coming after me.
Right.
I'm a mother of two. I'm a law student. I was actually, I was legitimately scared. Immediately, though, I will say, in the moment, I said, don't put my Facebook post. Like, I was scared. But then my law school brain kicked in, and I was like, wait, what just happened? This is a violation of my First Amendment rights, because not that Nick took it down, but that the military and the police chief essentially coerced her to do so.
Right.
So I was angry, and I was like an angry law student does. I sent an email to the police chief, and I mean, you can tell me to stop screen sharing, but do you want me to show you the email that I sent? I sent an email to the police chief, and I reminded him of the First Amendment. And I told him he violated the First Amendment by using his official government position to essentially coerce or, direct someone, even if not necessarily telling her to do it, to take down my Facebook post. And so I reminded him, and do you care if I quickly share that?
Sure.
Just because I think it's important for your viewers and pretty much everybody who wants to know the true story. So this is the email that I said.
Okay. And shout out to Lee Guitar. He said, here's the real question. Why should the government / our military have a blank thing to involve in this? And I agree, especially like she said before, if it's First Amendment, because everybody else is so big on freedom of speech. Bold as it is, if we don't like it, I even said myself, I'll be in certain spaces. If it's not for me, hey, I'll just walk away and move on, carry on. But when it comes to something like this, actually moving and making a narrative to something that's unjust, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So as you can see, on November 30th, that's the same day my post was taken down at 6:48 p.m. When my law school brain kicks in, I ended up emailing Officer Duff, of course, thanking him for him being his service, because my family, we back the blue, we love our police force, but
Of course.
I reminded him of the First Amendment. Everyone residing in the United States, it's sad when you have to quote the Supreme Court. And then I had some questions, and then I reminded him essentially about what his job is. And
that's fair. It's not like, it's being disrespectful. It's like, hey, I respect you, I understand you, but at the same time, are we on the same page?
Yeah.
House rules, and I'll even break it down even further. If I come to your house, your home, I'm gonna knock on the door. I'm not gonna kick in the door, walk in, take some snacks, whatever. Again, it's respect. It's respect. So people need to understand that it goes both ways, especially this is what this country is founded on,
Yeah. So I just reminded him of the First Amendment, and I don't think he particularly liked that. So he called me, and that is truly when I found out that the military was involved for real. And he said, the military contacted me and they used the words extremist. So I thought I had to help. And I said, well, that's not your job. It's not your job to police my Facebook. And he didn't really understand. He didn't
even question it. Like somebody just called him, just tell him like, hey, that's like me calling, hey, I'm Lieutenant, Doogie. I need you to do this to Villa. So he just didn't.
Yeah, no, he said, he said it was like, this is just, the military shares information with the police, and he just decided to act on it. And this is why your audience and everybody who is in the United States of America needs to be concerned right now, because we have the military, and this isn't a single person. You have to understand, Chris Schilling is just an ancillary person who we will get to him, but he's not the one dictating and running this. This is someone higher than him or within an office who reached out to the police about my Facebook and then the police acted. That's insane. Yes. Especially when you see my post and you're like, this isn't like someone on a terrorist watch list or anything.
Yeah, because I'm on your Facebook page, and I'm like, this is, I told somebody, this is where I get, because it's been so many spaces where I talk about relationships so much. I'm like, you are the perfect example of the, the Stepford mom, the house mom, the teacher, the nuclear family, you are that person. You're like the face of it. And out of nowhere, they're like, terrorists? Like, where y'all getting this from? I can literally, if anything, I see her terrorizing me with baking cookies and brownies, but I cannot see this. I cannot see this.
Thank you. Yeah, I saw you friend request, and like, I'm gonna accept him. Like, yeah, look, you can see everything. Like, you can look back to my past before kids. Like, I am not the person like you need to be scared of, as far as like, being, extreme in any way, shape, or form. Like, no, like I'm at Disney World. Like, come on, guys. Like, yeah, like it should really scare everybody. If they're going to come for someone like me, they'll come for anybody. They'll come for all of us. And I think that's the whole point of it, because most people will just back down. They would have had the police get involved or learn about the military, and they would have just hid in the corner somewhere. And I'm not going to do that. Because I want all parents, and that's on both sides. So you could be listening right now and disagree with me. I still want you to have an ability to speak. I want you to speak. I want you to have ability to post. I want you to have ability to have open and honest dialogue about our public schools or about whatever you choose. Because if we lose that, we lose the fundamental guiding principles of our country, and change stops. We've lost everything.
And I agree. And that's pretty much what the Great Pill Podcast is about. All about perspective. I pretty much I can't tell you how to think, what to believe. It's like, hey, if this is where you go with it, I'm fine with it. Let's have that conversation. If anything, I would like to understand you more, because this world is so big. We're just talking about the states, states alone, this country. The world is so big. Everybody got their own opinions. Everybody got their own thought process. Okay, fine. Let's have a conversation. But at the end of the day, the first thing is respect. If it's come down to everything, case by case, schools, colleges, public areas, like, come on now, it's respect first. So that's where we go here with the Great Pill Podcast. So again, I cannot thank you more enough to have this conversation on my end. So just to bring awareness to this type of disrespect, if any.
Yeah. So it doesn't end there, unfortunately. Then Chris Schilling gets involved. And now we're not really sure his status of his position. So the military, before I went on Tucker, never said, okay, he's not a lieutenant colonel in any regards. In their most recent communications with Fox News and myself, they're calling him Major Chris Schilling, but they're saying that they can't tell me anything about what's happening with him because of the Privacy Act. And then they list the provision of the law. And I'm sure we'll learn more through litigation, but either way, I don't know what his title is. All I know is he is an active military personnel and his name is Chris Schilling. So that's how I'm addressing him, because I really don't know what his actual position is. But Chris Schilling, he essentially, not a dad, just so everyone is clear, he has no children in my kid's school district. That has been confirmed. He's not even an emergency contact. And the reason I know that is because when I pulled my kids, when I found out with the military involvement, I said, I'm not sending my kids back if this guy can come armed onto the campus. Right. And they're like, no, we don't know who he is. He doesn't have children in the district. He's not even an emergency contact. So this isn't like a parent. Okay. So it's not like he's a dad who just was a concerned dad. So Chris Schilling goes online and he starts putting out what appears to be official statements from the base. And I can share them with your audience. I'll do that really quick.
Why are you doing that? I have a question too. So you mentioned that you a teacher for 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Was you a teacher for the school with your kids?
I actually, yes, years ago worked for the district, but not in my last place that I worked was in Freehold Township. And I left teaching in 2019, after, I'll be very honest, I speak my mind as a person, and working in public education, you can't really make change that way. I got my master's and I was doing school administration work. So I'm a certified principal and school administrator.
Nice.
So once I saw that I really couldn't even make change being an administrator, and my principal at the time passed away. He was my mentor. So that was in 2019. I said to my husband, I need to utilize my ability to speak and write in a more productive way. Can I go to law school? And he said, oh my God. He's like, because we have 2 kids. And I said, if I can get a full ride, can I go to law school? And he said, if you can get a full ride, you can go to law school. So that's what I did in 2019. I studied really hard for the LSAT. So if any of your listeners want to go to law school, I will help you and I will teach you the ropes of how to, do well on the LSAT so you don't have to pay. I grew up very poor. So for me, I just want to pass it along and help as many people as I can. But anyway, I left education to go into law school to make a change in public education. So I'm in my last year. I have 1 more semester. So.
Oh, nice. So when you had got your daughter and pulled her out, did you ever decide to bring her back to the school anytime after that?
So let me first show the Chris Schilling, because this is when I pulled the kids. So because I have pictures of some of his screenshots. So, okay. So this is Chris Schilling. He's like, the current situation involving Mrs. Redding's actions have caused safety concerns for many families. The Joint Base leadership takes this situation very seriously, and from the beginning have had security forces working with multiple state and local law enforcement agencies to monitor the situation to ensure continued safety of the entire community. Like, oh my God, what? And then you could see he put a petition out against me, calling me an extremist. And he continued to just post. Like, there are parents who were like, I think, what you're saying about her is wrong. And he would just, any friend of mine who tried to defend me, he just attacked them. So once I realized how deep entrenched the military was, and after Chris Schilling's postings online, I did pull my kids from school. I actually walked out of a law school exam and pulled my kids. I drove an hour home from Villanova, got my kids got my kids from school and kept them home for a week. Now, my goal was not to send them back ever.
Okay.
But my kids were, when I mean my kids were devastated. My kids love their teachers. I'm very blessed. This year they have phenomenal teachers. Like seeing their heartbreak of missing school. And we called 3 different schools and no private Catholic school or Christian school could get them in this year.
Oh, wow.
So, I was like, what are we going to do? I mean, I can't keep my kids home forever.
Yes.
It was like hurting their mental health too, because they love their teachers this year. So I put in certain security provisions to make sure that they were safe while at school, and kind of got assurances that Chris Schilling couldn't be on campus. So I'm gonna have some water.
Okay, no problem. So from far as you know, he never was there. He didn't live in the area, but all these back and forth communications was from him.
Yeah, I mean, him posting online, it definitely was him, because he the military has confirmed it was him, and they're saying, well, we didn't authorize him to do that.
Right.
And that's probably true, right? I don't think the military, that's not how they function. They don't say, okay, I need you to go on your Facebook and start telling the world what we're doing. But I will tell you, it has been confirmed what Chris Schilling said online was true. The military did activate local and state agencies against me for posting. I mean, that's all true. He was just, for lack of a better term, dumb enough to put it on his social media. And the reason he did that was to raise the temperature, because then people started thinking, oh my God, this mom's an extremist. What did she post? Everyone's in danger. People started reaching out to me saying, you speaking out against the school, you're going to cause a school shooting. Kids are going to die for you because of you. The gun is loaded with a bullet by you. The blood's on your hands. I mean, I cannot tell you the harassment. I've gotten threats to myself, my family, all because I posted online my concerns. The post that I shared with you.
Somebody has a question real quick. Shout out to Lee. So one question is, again, if anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, bring it to the table and we'll address it.
He is in the military. Yeah.
Oh, he is
Army.
Okay. And one same question leading to that says, authorized or not, does he hold a military title?
Yes, he does. Okay. The only thing right now is the military is not, their most recent communication with me called him a major and not a lieutenant colonel. So I don't know what that means. That's why I'm just calling him Chris Schilling, who's in the Army. That I can confirm. I can't tell you if he's a lieutenant colonel or a major or what position he's at. Their most recent communication with me said major. So I'm trying to tread lightly to say what I know, and that is that he is in the Army and that he's stationed at Joint Base in New Jersey. So I do know all of those things. I do know that the military said that they're dealing with the issue, but they can't share with me what consequences, if any, he will have for his actions. One would think they would be serious, because in the military, I'm a daughter of a veteran.
Yes.
You are not allowed to share as if you are speaking for the military online.
Oh, I have some friends now that's active now. It's like a lot of them is my guests on my panel. It's certain things they just can't say. Now, when they're out, they run their mouth all day. Go on.
And here's the thing: Chris Schilling is allowed to post his concerns if he is a parent, which he's not in my district. But like, even if he just disliked me, he's allowed to. He just can't look like he's speaking on behalf of the military, and he should separate himself and say, I'm speaking as a private civilian. And he certainly shouldn't be calling a mom an extremist. I mean, there's certain things you need to be careful when you represent the United States, that I am a member, I'm a citizen of the United States. And
any way, shape, or form, especially if I'm not in your area, I'm not in your state, heck, I'm not even your neighbor. So the first thing I'm thinking, like, okay, you don't live nowhere near me, why would you care? And then also, I get the education part, voice your opinion, but like you said, that is too much.
Yeah, he could have simply said, so he does live in New Jersey. He does live at Joint Base, but he doesn't have kids in my district. He could have simply said, I disagree with Angela. I think kids in second and first grade should 100% be exposed to words such as polysexual. Great. I don't know if you remember, the first sentence on my post was, I am open for debate. I love debate. If you
Let's,
just,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
one second. Let's just real quick. So, E-Demand said, what was the kids being taught? I don't know if that's a direct question to just overall, but just to sum it up before. So, Miss Angela Redding, at her kids' school was being taught. This was like an event, if I'm mistaken.
It was just math night, and I could answer that quickly. So
Sure, go ahead.
at math night, my daughters were exposed to posters that had terms that were, as I showed your audience, pretty sexual, polysexual, pansexual, words that I didn't even know. And we found out that those posters were part of an assignment the kids did for acceptance. And they were able to choose topics of how to show acceptance, and they were able to do research. So these kids were able to get online, just like I did when I looked up those terms, and we're able to research polysexual, pansexual, and we're able to create these posters. So from what I'm being told, it's not that the teachers were like, okay, today's Monday, we're learning about pansexuality. It was the kids were able to create posters about acceptance. Now, I mean, we're all intelligent human beings. I don't know how many fourth graders, fifth graders would on their own, you saw that wall, would all come up with to write about sex and things like that. But maybe they did. I'm not sure. But it wasn't like a direct lesson about pansexuality or anything.
Right. Ema has another question. Do you believe kids will be less social if they are homeschooled?
I mean, I would think if it depends how you homeschool. So I'm not in the position financially where I can stay home and homeschool my kids. Both my husband and I will need to work. Right now I'm in school, but we both need to work. If you're lucky or blessed enough to be able to have a situation where you can homeschool and you don't take your kids anywhere, they just see you all day, certainly, I think there'll be a social impact. But most homeschool parents that I know take their kids to cohorts, to events with other homeschooled kids, or they're taking them out on social excursions. So I think it depends on how you homeschool.
Okay. Appreciate the good question, Eman. Yeah. So at that time when you pulled your kids up, so what was your husband's thoughts on all of this?
He was equally as devastated, because I probably should have said this from the start. Both my husband and I have been active members in our community in serving on school boards. Yeah. So at this time, I was on the regional school board, which serves grades 7 through 12. And my husband was on this school board of this school. My husband was the president at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So for him, like, you're thinking, if there's anyone in the position to make change, it'd be my husband.
Right.
But again, like I said, the superintendent pretty much said, oh, well, this is what we're doing. And a school board really, as an individual school board member, he doesn't have the power to make change. And like I said, the other board member loved it. So my husband was just like I was, just devastated on multiple levels. First, we were devastated on some of the community impact. There are people who were so hateful and so cruel to me, making threats to me and my family. There are people sitting outside my house taking pictures. But also devastated, but like the military and police involvement, because like I said, we are a pro-military and police family. We're, constitutional conservative. So for us, it felt like, how is this happening to us? So right. We were just like so devastated. My sister-in-law was actually on the local school board or the regional school board with me. We all made the decision that we were done. We're done doing this. We're done participating and serving the community when this is what happens to us. So
okay. So here's a silly question. So if your husband was the president and your family was part of this community within the school, before they did this, in math night, nobody have a meeting like, hey, look, this is what we're going to present. Let's talk about it. Like, how did that come from? Because I can't see somebody wake up one morning like, all right, gender, polygamy, yay, the kid's gonna love it. And everybody's like, yes.
This never, and this is, I think, what was so crazy. And I think everybody needs to be aware of this, that the board never approved this. This is not in the curriculum. You know, this wasn't at all approved by anybody. This was part of a social activity during the Week of Respect. And essentially, you don't need board approval for things like that. It's outside of the curriculum. So the school board has almost zero jurisdiction on these topics. And now, if my husband had more support on the board, I think he could have, said, moving forward, we're not going to do these things. But the problem is there's a board member, her name's Casey Durr. She's still on the board. She's up for re-election. And I hope that people stand and don't vote for her. But, she supports this stuff. So I think anybody who wants to run for local government, you need to understand, or local school board, as an individual board member, you have no power. Even if you're the president. I was the vice president of my board. You need a majority of the board to be in unison to make a decision that we're not going to do this anymore. And still the superintendent can do certain things without board approval, like this activity.
I agree. Marcus, it's a comment addressing this. He says, sounds like some socio-emotional agenda based on the type of feeling. I agree. That sounds like what it is, especially if it's just one person controlling that. That's ridiculous. I can't see one person being in charge of everything else, that type of decision making, without the president, teachers, some of the board members, faculty members, like, hey, let me get people together so we can have a conversation about what's best for the public children. Yeah. Well, Edaman asked the question, was this a one-time thing?
So they always have Week of Respect and Acceptance thing. This is the first time that I've ever seen this type of stuff hanging on the wall, because we are progressively moving in the direction where talking about sexuality and gender is just the norm. So I do think it's going to get progressively worse. But here's the thing, and this is really, really important. My friend and I are going to work on a book called The Silenced Majority. And you always hear about the silent majority, but we're writing a book about the silenced majority, because even though there's just a single board member who loves this stuff, or there's just a few teachers, the people who don't like it are so scared to speak out because they see what happens to someone like me. I mean, they have businesses, they have jobs. So everyone just kind of goes along with it. They stay quiet, even though they disagree. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me saying, I agree with you. I support you. This is wrong. But they won't go to a meeting. They won't run for school board. They won't speak out because they're like, well, I own a pizza business, or I'm a teacher, So we live in a world where people feel silent. I call it, and this is a law school term, but it's called the heckler's veto, where people are around screaming at you, using moral blackmail. Like, if you speak out, you're going to cause a school shooting, where people just stay silent. And that's why we're in this position. That's why a very small group of people are running our schools, and we need to be able to say no more, and we need to be able to respectfully have a conversation with them. But the problem is they're very organized, and they really are good at propaganda, and they're really good at painting you like a crazy person, like what they did to me, like a terrorist.
Of course. So what's the next step for you and your husband as far as with the kids? Because I think in one interview you mentioned private school suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to continue with the remainder of public school with them, or you're like, let me just start looking now into private?
Oh, no, they will not be going to public school next year. Okay. They will be going to private school, getting them on the wait lists and looking around to different options. And I think we'll be able to find one, and especially for next year. But my husband and I both will not stop fighting for our public schools, because growing up how I did, I grew up in, are you familiar with like Trenton?
Yes.
Yeah, Trenton, Chambersburg. So I grew up very poor, but my dad, he owned an HVAC company. So he was able to, heating and air conditioning. So I was able to actually go to Catholic school. My dad did like the HVAC work. So I had like discounted tuition because the schools weren't good. But here's the thing. I want every kid to be able to go to a quality school. whether you shouldn't have to have the financial means to go to private school, right? My community has a lot of low income individuals, and I just think it's such a disservice for us to just pull our kids and say we're done. I'm going to keep fighting for the families who cannot send their kids to private or Catholic schools, because I want our public schools to be good for all people. Regardless of your political position or religion, our schools should be safe for everyone, and we shouldn't be usurping parental rights. That's really my fight. So my husband and I will continue to fight. And now that I'm not a board member, I have my full First Amendment rights. Just so your viewers are aware, when you are a board member in New Jersey, you are limited in what you can say. Now that I'm not a board member, it's like I have my full rights to really fight for all kids in New Jersey.
Oh, wow. So it's a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the main decisions why I was like, you know what, I'm not going to serve, because I don't know if you saw on my post, I had to have a huge disclaimer. Every
Yes.
time I spoke, I had to have a huge disclaimer because I was a board member and I had to be very clear, like, I'm just speaking as a mother. That's very annoying, number one.
Yes.
And number two, if someone disagrees with you, they can file ethics charges on you and say, like, you're compromising the school board. I don't want to deal with that. I want to be able to fight for the kids in this state without any limits on what I can say. And I don't say crazy things, but I just want to be able to freely speak to defend the kids in the state, all kids, and not, that just breaks my heart, because not all families would be able to pull their kids to go to Catholic school. So
I agree. If you don't have anything else to add, so solutions. So with everything you learned so far, I know you said you're going to keep fighting a good fight, going to make sure this is right through, and definitely any new thing come across, I would love to bring you on so we can hopefully find some closure to this. I think it's going to be a little bit long, especially with just your child's public school, because that's a whole nother roller coaster. But just to clear this up with you and all this other mess, please let me know, and we can bring it back on and rehash this and get some clarities for the viewers. Solutions. So what would you recommend for anybody else looking back on this and this happened to another mom, another dad, a grandma, auntie, or guardian? What would you recommend to them?
First and foremost, you need to have a core group of people, and I don't mind being that person that you can reach out to have support, because if you want to speak out, it's hard if you feel alone. I'm lucky to have great friends, probably some that are viewing in tonight, that are my support system and who are willing to have my back when things get rough. So always have a support system, and I'm willing to be there for anybody who feels like they're being silenced or they don't know what to do. So anybody can message me on Facebook at any point. I'm here, and anyone knows me knows that I mean that. So have a support system. Also, if you're going to speak out, be really, really careful with your words. Read it over multiple times, because I felt like mine was pretty moderate, but still I had a reaction. But I think for us, in order to win this fight and make our schools better, we need to tone down our rhetoric. We need to be respectful. We need to be able to articulate our points without calling teachers pedophiles or without, you know what I mean? There's
Yes.
a lot of, I think that's not going to win the fight. I think we need to find ways to articulate our views in a respectful manner and be able to hear the other side, even if you disagree. But I think we all need to come together. That's the thing, is right now we're so fractured. There's like groups all over the state and the country. Yeah. We need to come together. And I really am working on creating a website. Like I said, I'm writing a book with a friend to really try to create a space really for all of us to come together, where to get resources on how to speak out, how to make change in your local school district. So I know that's a little scrambled, but
Yeah.
I think,
one person at a time. We'll get there. Lee said, I don't do Facebook. Any other ways of information? Hope has suggested Twitter. That's pretty much one way I found her.
I'm on
So
Twitter.
is there any other? Yeah. So Facebook, Twitter. She says she's working on a website. She get that. Trust me, I'll put the link there. I even bring it up later. You can catch me on my Facebook. I do have Facebook, YouTube. I also have a Twitter too. So when she get the website together, I'll drop that for anybody else who want to come back and check it up. So same name as you see here. Facebook, Twitter, her website going to be coming to development, and I think you mentioned a group that you's
Yeah, I
working
want
with.
to. I mean, like my goal is to really just create a space for people to gain information, whether it be a website or a group. I'm working. Actually, Hope was one of the people that commented. I'm trying to work on that. But anybody that's listening that has kids knows that it's been holiday week. My kids have been home, Christmas break, so not much has been getting done this week. Although I had plans to do that, but that's my goal, is to really create a space where people can gain information, reach out to me, because I'm really willing to help everybody and anyone who has questions. We're in this fight together. We need to all stand up together. Even if you don't agree with me about everything, we need to defend our rights to speak and have a right and say for what's happening in our schools. And I will keep you updated. Like I said, I'm represented by a national law firm, so we may be going back on Tucker or something moving forward, talking about our litigation moving forward. I hope that a federal lawsuit will make a difference, that no parent should be, threatened or defamed for having an opinion. So I'm hoping a federal lawsuit will make a difference.
Hey, I believe it will. As long as everybody stay on their square, it will work out. Edom said, "Ben, devil's advocate, do you believe you can still be the voice of the public schools if your child doesn't go to them?"
I do. That's why I'm in law school. I'm in my last semester, and that's what I plan to dedicate my entire life to, is using my law degree to defend parents, parental rights, students with disabilities, and using my voice and platform to do so. So, even if your kid's not in public, I was fighting for kids before I even had kids, right?
Yes.
As a public educator. So even if you're in this audience right now, you don't have kids, our kids are, whether they're yours or just the world's, they mean everything. So everybody's voice can make a difference. So yeah, I'm pretty much right now, I'm working in the school law area. So I'm very, very connected and entrenched in what's happening in our public schools. And I'm hoping one day I can bring my kids back to public school. That's the goal, because we pay for it, right?
Yeah,
And
you want them safe, because I'm not gonna lie. When that happened, when I heard about it, say, "Hey, I pulled my kids," I instantly thought about the school shooting. Like all that went to my mind, And we've been having that going on for like this year before it passed, So yeah, you just don't know, especially when it comes to public schools, and you think those are safe, but when this level of disrespect and I would say, I wouldn't go so far as say to some degree of abuse on that end, with the public with the pitchforks coming at you. It's ridiculous. So yeah, you want your school
and just so your viewers are aware, it's not just like the general public. There were actual teachers and our school secretary who shared a petition against me, calling an extremist. The secretary shared a petition calling me an extremist on her Facebook. And I'm supposed to feel safe sending my kids to the building. So those are kind of the safety provisions in sending my kids back. These adults who did that are not allowed near my children, which is hard, right? It's hard to send your kids to a school and there's 10 adults that can't go near your kids.
And you can't explain that to your kids, because it's bad enough you try and explain, they see something on the wall, you got to Google that, explain that. Now this happens. So it's like, okay, adults don't like me right now.
They do know that. They're very, because unfortunately parents have conversations in front of their kids, so my kids find out, so my kids know that there are adults that don't like me, and it's actually been tough to have the conversations, but my kids, they know why people don't like me, and I'm teaching them from a very young age to stand up for what they believe in and not back down. So I'm hoping there's a life lesson here that they take from it. I hope so.
I agree. All right, so again, I very, 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 very appreciate you for coming on and having this conversation and sharing this. Again, I'm very big about perspectives, and this is awareness that to a level I was unaware of, and I appreciate you sharing your story. Do you have anything else to add before we close out?
No, but I'm here. If anyone has any questions, anyone can reach out to me. We're stronger together, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, anytime. For anybody, for tomorrow, we are going to be talking about mental health, I think around about 6 or 7 o'clock p.m. Also, Thursday, last guest was 6, so we're going to have a few more guests on for this Thursday. We're going to be talking about and discussing about what is a woman, all right? So that's going to be a good conversation. Angela, you're more than welcome if you have the time to come up for Thursday for that conversation. You're more than welcome. So it'd be an interesting.
Got to try to get Matt Walsh. Then, did you see his documentary?
Oh yes, that's what bringing me home for that one. So it's going to be a good one. I got all my little T's and I's dotted for that conversation.
I have the book too. So.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So.
I read all perspectives, even, and I love Matt Walsh because people call him an extremist, and maybe he is. I mean,
I think he's an extremist in the right way. That because I saw the documentary, it was so. I'm a movie buff, but when I saw his documentary on that, it was like so lined up perfectly. I'm right. Yes, I watched it like 2-3 times, and I'm riding away with it. I'm like, this is ridiculous. People like him, people like you. If you find a gift and you have a talent, you keep going. Keep going.
I agree. So.
All right. So I appreciate you guys again, Angela. Thank you for coming through. And hey, hit the bell notification. We're gonna keep you updated on any current events coming up with Miss Redding. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Can I get a